Hey there, my name is Dr. Nought. This is Pyre, and presumably this is the last episode. So before we continue, let us read one last time. The Templars. Oh, that's a good final reading. In the words of Haub the Swallow the Accursed, Mur, the Horned One, formed the Templars upon his own ideals. Ingrained in this triumvirate are basic truths about the dual roles of strength and gentleness. The Horned One, he has had a dualistic nature for as long as he and I consider each a friend. The stories I am told about Mur's youth describe no one I know. All of us are capable of more. I once was an imp that could not write. Mur once was a man that could not think. The Templars once were ordinary folk. Now, they rise to greatness, always striving, never overachieving. They are not like Mur himself. Rather, they are what Mur wished he could be. I'm not even going to sully this last episode with stinking up a scribe's trial. Let's just go. Unfortunately, we couldn't get them all, but that's okay. Got bigger fish to fry.
Foolish reader, your so-called friends, you are accomplice to their hateful plot. They are exploiting you. You shall never have your freedom.
By dawn, you are already up and about after a troubled slumber. The Black Wagon is prepared for its final voyage to the Fall of Solium. No one speaks. As you lift into the skies, the lone minstrel raises his voice, cutting through the somber mood. Reader, a certain olden ballad comes to mind just now. I think it may befit the circumstance. Perhaps it may help to pass the time along our flight. Would you mind it very much if I were to play the song for the Nightwings? Oh dude, yeah, do it. We're gonna listen to all of it. You urge the lone minstrel to play his ballad so that all among you might hear it. He begins without another word.
When the stars align, the rites shall come to bear. Illuminate the signs, the exiles shall be there. All are not the same, but three shall be as one. Freedom in flame, the end has just begun. Strength may break our own, but twisted make a great. Together on their own, the journey shall be made. The journey shall be made.
Nice. I thought they stopped right when we got to the spot and they automatically stopped, but one good final note. Let's get Sir Gilman some favor here. You touch down amid the splendors of Mount Elodial to make pilgrimage to the summit for one last time. There, one last liberation rite shall soon commence. There, one last exile shall regain his or her freedom. All others shall remain, to carry out their sentences here in the downside for the remainder of their lives. And in the Commonwealth, the plan of which you are a part shall either come to fruition or shall be suppressed. After having landed, you join Sir Gilman on an expedition to the monument of Molten Malith, for what is likely to be the final time. This knight's quest is drawing to a close, and yet he oftentimes feels no closer to an understanding of true honor. Here he is, on the verge of his good companion's final opportunity at freedom, and he thinks only of himself. But nay, his thoughts are very much with him, for it is thanks only to him, and also you, good scribes, this knight is even here. Then, this knight's final quest is to see one of his good friends go free this one last time. That matters more to him even than honor. Soon he is finished. You return to the wagon in silence, feeling as though Molten Melith has shown you favor. At dawn, you shall begin your last ascent. For now, your vocations may occupy what little time you have to spare. +3 glory to Sir Gilman. And I think here we give everyone a small bonus. You excuse yourself from the others to go pore over the Book of Rites and its mysteries. Through greater understanding comes the reader's influence. Let's give everyone +1 hope. You extract a deeper meaning from the words and teachings of the Book of Rites, one you feel in your core, yet struggle to articulate. Inspiration comes to you in a flash, whether from the book or from within, you cannot tell. Alright, Spirit, from the reader's influence. Well, there's only one destination. Let's go. But wait. A messenger imp with news and rumors from the other side somehow tracks you down in the ancient formations of Mount Lodiel. The imp's message pertains to Ray, who you liberated at the fall of Solium, and whose past transgressions have all been forgiven since her return to the Commonwealth. You learn that she was taken in by a well-to-do foster family, and was to be given private schooling at the highest order in the Astralist tradition. A theocratic, sect-believing divine authority rests with the stars. They alone dictate the future. We all return as stars, so much the brighter should we live with glory. They promised her that, in time, she might one day have the honor of teaching the children of the Commonwealth herself. However, she soon went her own way, insisting that the 8 scribes themselves were calling her. She started wandering again, all on her own. That is until she located Volfred's agents. Thus, her wandering ceased, and the ranks of the revolution grow stronger. Ray also left a simple message: believe in the scribes. You thank the messenger imp for the report, as your companions gather to discuss. That one, very powerful indeed, sorceress of sorts, a certain air about her, most intriguing. She better be more careful, else they'll throw her right back in here with the rest of us. Behoom! He so misses having Ray around, though is pleased to hear that she is well. She has the manner of a saint, that one. She knows in her heart the traditions of the scribes. Small in stature was the goodly Ray, yet great indeed in spirit. Even now this knight remains in awe of her. The news of Ray's liberation fills you and your fellow exiles with newfound resolve. +1 hope, nice. Wish Ray luck. You stand before the scribe's gate with your companions. The gate guardian is there, as ever, but you sense something different in her. The exiles of the Nightwings, we shall not meet again after the coming rite. Tariq and I, it shall be time we take our rest, I think.
Salutiam, Ceres.
Greetings, Celeste. I would tell you that the Nightwings are prepared, though this time I'm uncertain anyone amongst us feels thus. We have a duty to uphold, Tariq. And then what, Celeste? And then nothing. Not for the rites, or us. Not till the dawn of a new age. Now, Nightwings, step forward. Please state your names and what is it that you seek whilst crossing Scribe's Gate. One by one, your fellow exiles approach her, now with sureness in their steps. We are called Big Bertrude. We seek to fulfill the plan of Sandalwood, for we are fond of him and his beliefs, and then to go about our business. My name is Volfred Sandalwood. I long as yet to see an age where freedom is one's birthright, and no longer are good people such as these forced to contend for it. Krahaha! Tisa believes that his ancestors are watching over the Nightwings, and seeks to live up to their legacy. Tamitha Thane here. I came seeking my blood sister Tamitha's forgiveness, since she ended up in here because of me. Maybe something good can come of it, as yet. Sir Gilman of the Sea Dominion at your service. This knight's never-ending quest for honor shan't end here, yet first he has a noble duty to uphold. Finally, you step forth once more. You, a common wanderer who longs to regain her freedom, and who managed to come this far with this group. The gate guardian observes you for a moment, then motions past the archway toward the summit.
Gratan octolorica.
The 8 scribes bid the Nightwings welcome. Go forth with glory.
Disasaivaros.
Except for you, Tariq. You stay right there. I thought you said...
Rictus tafinem.
The rites are not yet ended, Tariq. He looks to her, and over to the rest of you. Pardon me, everyone. I shall be there when the stars align. Gate Guardian and the Lone Minstrel remain together as the rest of you depart. What are they doing? You have gained the summit of Mount Lodial for the 7th time, the final time in which any one of you shall have a chance to leave the downside. Alright, let's see what we got here. I don't know if this is gonna give us anything. Welcome on. Hey, guys. I guess you probably heard the big news, huh? Yeah, well, I'm going out of business here, I guess. Just hasn't been the same, you know, what with the stars all fading out and stuff. Anyways, just wanted to say, you guys are great, and I sure am gonna miss having you guys as customers and all of that. But I got some good news though, too. All my stuff, it's all on sale now, and I will throw a little extra there just for you, okay? So, enjoy, and maybe I'll be seeing you guys around, okay? Are you joking me? 5% off? I thought we were getting like a 50% off or something. Great, thanks bud. What do you got here? 179, is that... Oh, I can't buy that. Whoa, plus 20, I mean that's obscene, we don't need that. Alright, I don't want anything, I can't afford anything. Actually, you know what I want? I want this. I'm thinking something here. I'm thinking. We should... do this. And do this side. So drops a moon sign, allies can instantly transport you from their pyre. I want to get this stuff. This makes... So hold X or RT to flutter or zip during a rite. Hold B to cast employ during a rite. That's safe return. Is that the same over here? Wait. What? Anyway, I don't know. And what's this? Tiso deals an additional 10 when dousing the adversary's pyre. I kind of use them on defense, so... Oh, wait. Okay, so... After casting his implode ability, Tiso returns much faster, and then here. Tiso's implode ability can banish adversaries in a much wider area. Those are the 3 that I want. You guys really are my favorite customers, you know? Bye, Falconron. Bye. Let's commence the final liberation. You have gained the summit of Mount Lodial for the 7th time. Very few stars remain above to light your way as you await the commencement of the final liberation rite. The Lone Minstrel finds you clutching the Book of Rites, seeking there, perhaps, some bit of wisdom that has eluded you thus far. Reader, we may not have a chance to speak again after this. I may have to go. I wish to say that I am grateful for having made your acquaintance, and I shall remember you with fondness. I wish you well, this night and always. Go forth with glory. Then, he looks up and he extends his hand in friendship. You clasp it. You see Volford has joined you. All of your companions are there with him, in fact. It is strange for me to say, given the circumstances of our meeting, reader, but it has truly been a pleasure. Onward now. Let us achieve our plan. Skrahakri! Tiso wants you to know he has the utmost faith in you. Thanks, bud, because we're going to try to get you out of here. Reading 1, thou art both wiser and less irritating than most others of thy kind. We have learned something from thee, and we are grateful. Well, reader darling, what do you say we give those old scribes a real show to remember then, shall we? Master Reader, it has been this night's greatest honor to have served with you. Let this be our most glorious stand yet. You look upon your fellow exiles, your companions, with whom you have withstood the downside, and with whom you shall now conduct this final rite. Begging your pardon, but my time has come. We shall see each other soon. He departs. After this night, the outcome of Wolfred's plan, the plan of which you all have been a part, shall be decided, one way or another. For now, all you can do is strive to prevail against your final adversaries, so that one last companion may go free. You rise to join your fellow exiles as the last remaining stars ignite. Final liberation rites of this age shall now commence. We shall reunite someday. Did I turn all 12 of these on? Nope. Having come this far, you need but take the final steps upon your quest for freedom.
Look, for one last time, upon the fall of Solium, dear reader. Hear me for one last time. For soon, the few remaining stars shall fade away, leaving you stranded there for your remaining days, in that forsaken land where you deserve to be. The rabble that you roused here in the Commonwealth shall be put down. The exiles whom you liberated, all shall fall in line. But first, let us get on with this last liberation rite. You face none other than yourselves, each so unlike the glorious Nightwings of yore. 'Tis a shame that one of you shall soon be free, for you deserve each other.
The pyres burn and each of the triumphants is present and prepared. But before the lone minstrel can concur as per the custom, not another word. The demon Orlek slowly raises his clawed fingers to his mask. The false Nightwings have arrived at last. Long have I awaited this. My freedom once was stolen from me, then I was cheated of it, here upon this mountaintop. You may now attempt to take it from me once more. He stands there for a moment, silent. Then, Orlek dons his mask and stands prepared. May these damned rites cease forever for the misery which they caused. Plus 40? Dang. Nightwings, we shall not meet again after tonight, for the cycle of the rites is all but ended. Thus, I would have your decision. On whose behalf shall you conduct this final liberation rite? The one whom you anoint, or else the exile Orlek shall be returned. Godspeed, reader. You know what is at stake better than I. I have utmost faith in you to make the best decision and conduct this rite with glory. Nightwings, the star's remaining light grows dim. Your decision, please. It is time now to choose who, if anyone among you, shall go free this one last time. The rest of you shall remain in the downside to the end of your days. One by one, you meet the cases of each of your fellow exiles. Bertrude, Amitha, Tiso, Sir Gilman, Wolfred. Your fellow exiles, your companions, your friends, together, you have come this far, but now the downside and the rights conspire to tear your group apart and disrupt your plan. Are you prepared to choose this one last time? I know you're trying to make me feel bad for everyone I don't choose, but I'm ready. I had a plan since the beginning. I'm ready. With but a glance, you reassure your fellow exiles that you know what to do.
One final opportunity for salvation. Too bad for the rest of you.
Sorry. Brah! Tiso is deeply moved by your decision, but regrets that you are forced to choose just one. I know, buddy. Your choice is cast. As for your other companions, you sense a clarity of thought and purpose in each of them. They stand ready to support Tiso, as well as you.
Who shall stand with him?
We're gonna go Sir Gilman.
Sir Gilman.
Master Reader! This night is overflowing with resolve to see the goodly Tiso return to rightful dignity and glory. And Bertrude.
Bertrude.
Thy will is ours, Reader 1. Let the remaining stars shed their light... Oh wait. Shed their last light upon our ceremony here. Those are to be my adversaries, then. And who is it, I wonder, who asserts her will over that group? You sense Orlek searching for you, almost, reaching out to you. You, the shadow of the false Nightwings. They are nothing to me, but you who would relinquish your own liberty for sake of them? Strange. It is fitting, then, that I should have to face one such as you. Then Orlek stands at the ready, signaling for his two allies to do the same. By light of dawn, the cycle of the rites shall cease. Let us see if we can finish this ordeal before that time. The sky above begins to shudder. The final liberation rite is about to commence. Tariq! I am prepared, Celeste. Then let our song this evening shake the stars themselves. Aye, Celeste. Let us make sure of it. Tiso fumbles with his mask. Priha! Tiso recognizes Orlek and greets him tentatively. It is good to see you. Orlek reaches for his mask in turn. How is the horn? Mended? Ra-kri-ri-ri-ha! Tiso indicates his horn has not bothered him for a long time now. Thanks Orlek for it. Good. A full recovery then. But it is unfortunate to see you standing there with them, Tiso. Come with us. No questions asked. The proposition seems to catch Tiso off guard. True. Tiso indicates that he will not abandon his friends or their quest. Rihu Kiki? He seems to be pleading with Orlek to stand down, to listen, to not give in to anger. But Orlek shakes his head. He puts his mask back on. This is something I must do, little one. Tiso dons his mask in turn. He chirps, nothing more.
Begin. The final chance at liberation for the age.
Did I miss them completely? Oh god. Not what I was expecting. Get in there. What? What? Wait, what happened? Oh, I don't have it. That was weird. Oh god. I thought I was holding the damn thing. No, not what I was expecting. Oh, he grabbed it again? This is gonna be a difficult final thing here. That didn't work. Sweet mother. Darn it. What? How are they doing that? They're like tossing the orb and then dropping it very quickly. Oh my gosh, this is difficult. Don't throw it at me, you little... There we go. Mine is 18. That's like nothing. The sky rains ash. Soon shall your pyres own mingle with them. Just then, the skies above begin to rain down fire. The final throes of the cycle of the rites, and the ending of the age. What is happening now? Holy...
Beneath contempt.
What?
How he has changed, that Orlek. Grown old and bitter, lo, these many years.
Get wrecked.
The Worm Knight somehow did it.
So he just came and destroyed us? Whoa, 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 whoa. Not cool. Oh, God. the?
Begone, Bertrude.
We're in a... Okay, Tiso can come back really fast now. Let's go. Whoa!
Blessed
Yes.
be. The Nightwing shall prevail at this rate.
I hope so.
Shall it be? Indeed.
Oh, he threw it! -8. That's not... That's nothing.
You seem unable to stop these people.
Oh, God!
Bertrude banished.
Whoa! Run! Run, you little worm! Wow, that worked.
Onward thus to greater glory. The accuser's pyre grows weaker.
Accusers.
Not sad for that one there.
Oh, fudge.
The orb was cast into your pyre.
-20. So it's the strength of how quickly he throws it. All of you, you shall rot here. You shall rot as I have all these many years. You, false Nightwings, who would deny me once again my rightful liberty. You, who deny that liberty to all of the triumphants you face and vanquish under the guise of the traditions of those blasted scribes. Come, let us continue with this glorious affair. What is happening? No, their version of Tiso is a lot better than our version of Tiso. Just saying. Whoa! Oh my god, okay, I got stuck.
Oh dear.
No, I missed it! God damn it! Alright, little wormy. Dear Lord, go.
Magnificent.
Stop talking! So the false Nightwings bear their fangs at last. But that cannot be your finest effort. You think you deserve your freedom more than I? Then fight for it, damn you. I am fighting, I'm trying to fight for it. Get in. Dear Lord. Oh no. So throwing it, I should really learn how to throw it on the final liberation. Oh god. Get in there! God, I'm freaking out here. Alright, so I just need to get Bertrude back in there once more. Orlek stands, breathing heavily, looks back on the thin lick of flame that is his smoldering pyre, before turning his attention back to your triumvirate. Oh yeah. Jump! Uh oh. What just happened? That it? Oh, I thought that was it. Alright, Bertrude's back. Your pyre's flames now threaten to die out at any moment. Orlek makes a sound like laughter that says nothing as he prepares one last assault against your side. This is our last hurrah right here. Son of a... No! I don't have what I want out. There, that's what I want. No! Alright, we got her. Go, little worm. Oh my god. No! No!
There it is, at last.
I guess he deserves it, but oh,
The true
damn it.
Nightwings proved their worth. It could have been you, Nightwings, but alas. Thus ends the liberation rite. And thus, the scribes have chosen
Krakri. Tiso is filled with conflicting emotions at the outcome of this final liberation rite. Orlek appears, his head bowed. For someone who has triumphed, you sense no pride in him. You posed a reasonable threat. Now, farewell. You look upon Orlek for what you expect shall be the last time. At any moment now, the Shimmer Pool shall engulf him. Any moment now, he shall regain his freedom and return unto a commonwealth he has not seen in half a lifetime. Any moment now, the cycle of the rites shall end, until at least the dawn of a new age. Any moment now.
And thus, the scribes have chosen. And thus, the scribes have chosen. And thus, the scribes have chosen. No. Nightwings. Reader. What have you done?
Nothing happens. Soon, Orlek tenses up. Each prior time upon the fall of Solium, the Shimmer Pool has opened, following the Liberation Rite, and taken in whichever exile prevailed. But now, all is still, and the light of the stars above has all but died. You sense a growing fear that it is already too late. The Shimmer Pool shall not reveal itself again. Orlek laughs to himself. The 8 scribes saved their greatest treachery for last. Then, something else catches his notice. Wait. A sudden rush of starlight cascades through the stillness of the summit. The Shimmer Pool has appeared again, different somehow, but open. Orlek looks upon it, but it does not engulf him, or at least not yet. It seems I was mistaken, then. The 8 scribes, this is not their greatest treachery. It is their greatest jest. The Shimmer Pool is flung wide open. It seems that all are worthy now of freedom. Just then, Tiso approaches. Pyre? Tiso can hardly believe what Orlek is saying. Everyone can return then? Tiso moves closer to the Shimmer Pool, but... Halt, Tiso. It is a warning. Tiso recognizes it as such and heeds it. The Shimmer Pool has lost most of its strength. You step inside, and you shall surely perish in the current. Of that I can assure you. Orlek shakes his head. Then I am cheated once again. No, the Shimmer Pool is revealed, and one of you may still return as planned. But, Orlek, as the victor of this liberation rite that ends an age, the choice of who is to return is no longer decided, but is yours. Having to choose from those anointed, here the last light of the stars is extinguished, and the rites draw to an end. This is the final trial of the scribes. The final trial of the scribes. All that remains, then, is for me to choose myself? Is that what you are saying? If that is to be your choice, then yes. How is this even a choice? What reason would I have to... Orlek, make your decision quickly, lest it shall be forfeit. You do not know for how much longer the light of the stars shall offer you this gift. Why do I hesitate? To have come this far, to have regained what ought have already been mine all those years ago, why now would I hesitate to claim my right? Final trial of the scribes. Orlek is lost in thought. It's probably a trick, I don't know. Let's reach out to him. I understand, like, he did get boned before, so... As Orlek struggles with the implications of the choice he has to make, you reach out to him, maintaining calm. Soon he becomes aware. You. Shadow of the false Nightwings, I sense you lurking at the edges of my thoughts. Begone. You venture to a place more desolate than the one to which you have been exiled. But you remain with him. Soon, your thoughts are known to him as well. You, all this time, you stood by them, clinging all the while to your faith that you, yourself, could still be free someday. How foolish. And Volfred, the remorse which he expressed to me then, it was genuine? This plan of yours, back when we stood together in the rites, it was our plan. Then Orlek seems to pull back from you and returns to his senses. My choice is made. Then please declare it. He turns to you. You there, shadow with the false nightwings. I would have you be gone from here, back to the Commonwealth. Go, return, and realize that plan. The Gate Guardian studies him, betraying no emotion. The freedom I have sought, my desire for it is unlikely to be sated in the Commonwealth, which casts all of us here. Gate Guardian turns to you as well. Reader of the Nightwings, quickly please, do you accept the burden of the outcome of this choice? You look toward Tiso, who regards you with such warmth that no further exchange is needed. Your choice, reader? I'm gonna ask Tiso to be free. You urge Orlek to let Tiso return in your stead. It is his freedom that you seek. He turns at you with some astonishment, or looks at you, but Orlek begins to shake his head. No, this offer's for you alone. That one, he had his chance, and I surmise that you, yourself, shall be more instrumental to that plan. Alright, insist that Orlek go free instead. You cannot accept something like this, or rather, cannot face the thought of taking someone's freedom for yourself. The truly free would never abide such an exchange. The freedom to be gained here belongs to Orlek. He prevailed in the final liberation rite. Orlek says nothing for a time, then... I see, then. Very well, I understand your point of view. Thus, I choose my freedom. You sense his mind is set. In this same instant, it feels to you as though he is set free. Then it is done. Orlek stands very still, although his features seem to soften just a bit, or just a little, and then he is gone. Orlek regained his freedom. Accept this, for it is done.
Godspeed, Orlek.
Man, you deserved to be gone a long time ago.
No stars remain aloft. The cycle of the rites. It is finished. The Commonwealth. What shall become of it? What shall become of us?
We all die, man.
Nightwings. The opportunity to gain your freedom from the downside. Was it not enough?
That night, the exile Orlek returned to the Commonwealth. He was to be the last. The stars had faded, and the cycle of the rites had run its course. He found the Commonwealth in a state of unrest. Spurred by the efforts of 4 liberated exiles, Volfred Sandalwood's revolutionary plan had incited the masses. These exiles and the starless sky portended the return of the scribes. The rulers of the Commonwealth pushed back. Fighting broke out in the streets, in spite of Sandalwood's intentions. It was then that the winged High-Wing remnants chose to strike. Allegations that the High-Wing remnants were in league with Sandalwood were never proven. However, there was no denying the result of a two-pronged attack. After enduring for almost a millennium, the Commonwealth had fallen. The new Saurian Union declared its sovereignty in the next year. Among the changes its elected leaders ushered in, they vowed never to cast their people into exile, and they abolished the old Commonwealth decree forbidding literacy. Today, we still remember all of this. And we remember the exiles of the downside, whose deeds led to the dawning of our age, whether they returned or not. What are we doing here? After the rites ended, Pamitha Thane parted ways with the other Nightwings, stating that she needed time alone. She reappeared sometime after the fall of the Commonwealth, although she expressed mild surprise at the news. She claimed to have no knowledge of what went on, including what role the Highwing remnants had in the events that reshaped the world on the other side. For her part, Pamitha feigned little interest, making the point that they were stuck, and what happened elsewhere had little to do with them now. Someone with whom she kept in contact was the bog dweller called Big Bertrude. They would discuss all sorts of matters long into the night, and sometimes hunt together too. Pamitha never saw her blood sister again, though did hear of her. By some accounts, Pamitha played no small part in the historic last days of the Commonwealth. In turn, Pamitha must have heard something of her blood sister. However, she never responded to Pamitha's attempts to contact her. Pamitha did not expect forgiveness from her at any point. Nonetheless, she kept on trying to reach out. She said, to ruffle up her feathers just a bit. Having long since felt as though she had no home to call her own, Pamitha continued traveling about the downside. As the tempest swept across the land, changing its features, she found in it a sublime beauty, and in the starless nights, she still could see just fine. She said such travels tended to remind her of when she was younger and could fly unfettered. Wow, these are like all the characters. Shall we? I think we shall. Let's like choose whomever. Let's go over here. After the cycle of the rites had ceased, Witch Udmildi returned to the Flagging Hands region, where she sealed herself in the Pit of Malith. There, even her fellow exiles of the Withdrawn allegedly grew unnerved after a time, and left her to her vile work. Sometime later, the Pit of Malith erupted into flame. So intense was the conflagration that it could be seen all the way from Jamur Valley. Arson was suspected, but the cause was never verified, and many bog dwellers in the region were forced to flee. The tempest blowing from the north finally quenched the flames. When at last the ashes settled, and the grounds had cooled, the site of the fire was scarred beyond recognition. No trace of Witch Udmildi could be found. As for the contents of the Pit of Malith, which notably included a profane object thought to be the remains of Islak, all of it was gone as well. Back in the Saurian Union, Udmildi's repeated threats of the return of Islak were thoroughly investigated. No credence was found to any of her claims. Let's go up here now. With the rites drawn to a close, the slug market's revenues fell precipitously, and Falcon Ron was forced to liquidate his assets and close up shop. Yet, as is sometimes the case with those of an entrepreneurial leaning, this time of hardship led to an epiphany, or at least a sudden change of fortune. One day, Falcon Ron had a run-in with a messenger imp bearing news from the other side. Ron gave to it one of his remaining trinkets, which could not be sold. The following week, the messenger imp returned to him bearing a tidy sum of wealth, and newly minted coinage from the Saurian Union. Falcon Ron cut a long-term deal with the messenger imp then and there. Though his trade remained a gray area from a legal standpoint from the Saurian Union, the newfound fame of the downside caused Falcon Ron's goods to explode in popularity. He later signed an elaborate agreement with Big Bertrude's and found a distribution partner on the other side through Rookie Greentail. His own business had expanded. Especially in the Saurian Union, Falcon Ron's goods were still known for their superior quality, though he assumes no liability for any side effects. Can't go any farther down. Why? Weird. Once the rites had ended, the Imp Tiso had a job to do, quite unlike most exiles trapped forever in the downside. The lone minstrel asked that he watch over the Black Wagon, which the Nightwings had used extensively for travel and for shelter all throughout their quest. Tiso obliged, for he knew that wagon, as well as its drive imp inhabitants, perhaps better than anyone. What became of the wagon exactly was never verified, as evidence of Tiso's thorough work. After that, he liked to while away his days with any of his friends, or else with fellow imps. Sandalwood sometimes called for his assistance, and Tiso was always happy to oblige. The two would often reminisce about their times with the lone minstrel. He often chirped about the Reader of the Nightwings, with whom he built quite a rapport. The Reader understood him perhaps better than anyone. Indeed, Tiso would often express wistful gratitude for all his time with the Nightwings, and their many adventures throughout the land that was always his home. Other than that, Tiso would sometimes help interpret for messenger imps relaying news to and from the Saurian Union. Despite having gained significant celebrity abroad, he never let it go to his head. And he would go fishing in the Sea of Solace at every single chance he got. After the cycle of the rites ceased turning, the lone minstrel bade the remaining Nightwings take the Black Wagon and seek their fortunes elsewhere in the downside. Their parting was heartfelt but brief. He remained there at the summit of Mount Elodial with Celeste, where the two of them would chronicle the final outcome of the cycle. Neither Tariq nor Celeste were ever seen again. We know all this now through song attributed to them. Some claim these songs originated in the taverns of the Saurian Union and merely were imbued with the weight of folklore. However, exiles liberated from the downside corroborated each other's claims at having met this duo that presided over the liberation rites. Another folktale suggests these minstrels were heralds of the scribes. Having fulfilled their obligations, they departed the world we know and rejoined their patrons. One of their famous songs describes another, simpler outcome, that the two gave up their duties to the rites in favor of a life that they could share together. In any case, they are likely to remain the subject of such verses and such songs, for it was they who watched over the rites and ushered in our times.
Grage merefactas.
After the final liberation rite, Lendl refused to believe that the rites had truly ended. He would sit through night after consecutive night, staring into the blackness of the sky, waiting any kind of sign that he might gain another chance at freedom. No such sign ever came. His fellow accusers started to express concern for him. Survival had become their top priority once liberty had slipped from their grasp. But Lendl dismissed them as weak fools. He insisted, rather forcefully, that any evening now the stars would shine for him again, and mark the way toward his inevitable freedom. He was, of course, mistaken. The others in his triumvirate were left with little choice but to abandon him. After that, the exile known as Lendl the Liar was never seen again. However, there have since been sightings of the bedraggled demon who wanders the downside and bears Lendl's cruel countenance, suggesting he yet lives.
Conceal Tavidias.
After his liberation, Hedwyn was instrumental in the events leading to the fall of the Commonwealth, and was vital to the outcome of the plan. He was the one who led the raid on the stronghold where Archjustice Androboles IX was holed up when the fighting grew fierce. With him, then and thereafter, was one of the winged harps of the Highwing Remnants, later identified as Fikani Shang. Their bond was vital to the peace that followed. In all his days as a leader of the Saurian Union, Hedwyn oft confided in his friend Jodariel. Despite her intense manner, there was no one whom he trusted more in times when circumspection was required. Hedwyn would often think back about the vow he made at the beginning of his quest for freedom. Although he cherished all the friendships he made, he had pledged to Jodariel, Rookie Greentail, and the Reader of the Nightwings that they might all be free again together. He had broken that vow, for, in the end, not all of them were able to return. A terrible guilt over this darkened his mood for a long time. However, the others whom he still knew lifted his spirits, much like he had often lifted theirs. All of the Nightwings knew the stakes. While the others who stood with the Nightwings were not all able to remain in contact thus, Hedwyn thought of each of them often, and so, in turn, did they oft think of him. After her liberation, Jodariel soon became an icon of the movement that led to the collapse of the Commonwealth and the rise of the Saurian Union. Her military prowess and experience led to key victories and clashes against Commonwealth loyalists. Each time, she was able to subdue the opposition, avoiding lethal force. In the uncertain times that followed, Jodariel's seasoned expertise often came into play both in matters of security and of state. For instance, she conscripted and trained a team of volunteers in public safety. The community did not know what to make of such a cordial bunch at first, but soon came to value their service. They have stood for the people ever since, and we celebrate their founding day. Each year. She remained close with Hedwyn all through this experience, and they supported each other through their struggles many, many times. She kept an eye on Rey, who nonetheless demonstrated a surprising knack to get by on her own, though Jodariel was always willing to provide assistance, just in case. She continued training on her own, a regimen that grew stricter with each passing year. There were those who sought to train with her, and she sometimes obliged. There remained one other constant in her life. She would always remember her days among the Nightwings, and with fondness for the most part.
More spectacular.
When Monley Tinderstoff realized the rites had ended, and that he no longer could return to the Commonwealth through this ancient means, he was outraged. He cursed the scribes, spewing forth such a slew of blasphemy as to be very unbecoming of one of his high status and bearing. When at last he calmed himself, he focused all his energies on attempting to find another means of homecoming. He maintained regular contact with his wealthy family on the other side via messenger imp, and used their vast resources to explore other means of escape. Love this song. Oh, it's so good. Sorry. He tried using an elaborate pulley system. He attempted to retrofit a flying black wagon with superior propulsion. He tried an imp raft, a hot air balloon, even prayer. Nothing worked. There was only one way to escape the downside, and now it was gone. Tinderstoff bankrupted his family in these vain attempts. At last, such was his shame that he retreated to the teeming woods of Black Basin, the Cinder Root. There he yet wallows, complaining to his comrades of the chastity who still put up with him, either about his own misfortune or the latest news from the other side. Poor Manly.
Legitamo templi.
After the cycle of the rites ceased turning, records of what happened to the Black Wagon of the Nightwings become inconclusive and contradictory. Some accounts suggest that the exiles of the Nightwings, who remained in the downside, continued to make use of the Black Wagon as their place of shelter and their means of travel. However, there is no record of what happened to the wagon's contents, such as the Book of Rites or the Beyonder Crystal, said to be haunted by the apparition Sandra the Unseeing. One possibility is that, when the lone minstrel took his leave, he took the Beyonder Crystal with him, for he was thus obliged. By this line of reasoning, however, the Black Wagon itself should have been taken also. Others remain skeptical that the Beyonder Crystal ever existed, or rather, the visions that it granted were anything other than the result of an active imagination or a fever dream. The bog dwellers of the southern bogs offer still another explanation. They are familiar with binding enchantments. If there existed such an object, in which the Sisters of the Ark had been expelled for more than 800 years, the enchantment could have expired along with the light of the stars. What this would have meant for Sandra and the Beyonders is difficult to say for certain, other than it may have meant that they were finally released. Nevertheless, the fates of Sandra and the Beyonder Crystal remain unknown. Yet, those exiles of the Nightwings who claimed to have seen this apparition all spoke of her with degrees of reverence, or perhaps a little fear. Let's do these two. As the cycle of the rites drew to a close, it grew evident that a chance at freedom from the downside had forever slipped from Dalbert and Almer Oldheart's grasp. Thus, they and the exiles of the Fate returned to Jomur Valley. There they struggled to get by, as exiles of the downside tend to do. Sometime after the rites had ended, the Oldhearts at last heard the news that the Commonwealth had fallen. This was well after the fact, of course, but it brought old Dalbert great joy. Despite his forthright manner, he had no love for the nation that cast him down, along with his son. Dalbert Oldheart passed peacefully in his sleep for the next new moon. In his final days, he implored his son to undertake a pilgrimage to the scribes. Almer never shared his father's view of the scribes, but respected Dalbert's wishes, and so, after a period of mourning, Almer began a new journey. Not a day went by that Almer Oldheart did not think about his father, and give thanks to him, and speak to him, at morning and at night. Would that the stars yet shone, for surely Dalbert's would be there among them, smiling down at his son, and watching over him and his kin. Several exiles of the Nightwings cared more for the plan of Sandalwood than to return home from the downside. The crone called Big Bertrude was a prime example. She had found a suitable environment to live, within the dismal region known as Flagging Hands. There, she had built up a thriving place of business known to many exiles in the land. With the rites having ended, she returned to her preoccupations, working away, almost as though nothing had happened. When one gets to be more than 400 years of age, perhaps then even monumental events such as the culmination of the rites or the collapse of the Commonwealth are seen as trifling matters. Much of her effort was doubtless due to the influence of Sandalwood, someone whom she had admired now for decades. He had made clear that he could not requite her feelings for him, but what could have been a hurtful dismissal led only to a deeper understanding between them. She maintained an unlikely kinship with the harp, Hamatha Thane, whom she had known during their time together on the Nightwings. They each had different strategies for dealing with life's day-to-day annoyances, a subject that they both found vital, if not fascinating, to no end. By and large, Bertrude kept focused on her work. Whether casting small enchantments or imbuing talismans, work brought her a sense of purpose, she would say. In the Commonwealth, such services were strictly forbidden, but in the downside, there was a real need for simple luxuries, which the competing slug market could not always provide. Thus did Big Bertrude continue to live up to her name, and the tales of her days with the Nightwings made her that much more the living legend. Once it became clear to Ignarius that the rites were drawing to a close, he knew that it was time for him and the Templars to call it quits. But first, he and the Templars decided to celebrate, and that they did for many, many nights. The revelry did eventually subside. The exiles parted amicably and went their separate ways. He roamed the downside then, searching for some meaning in his life, sometimes taking odd jobs requiring his brute strength. He never remained alone for very long, and took on many lovers in his time. However, he sometimes thought about the one he had called Curlyhorns and what became of her. Though his glory days as the most powerful conductor of the rites had long since passed, he always enjoyed the fearsome reputation he had cultivated at that time. When the cycle of the rites ceased turning, Wolfred Sandalwood turned toward the starless sky and closed his eyes and prayed. It was all that he could do at that stage of his plan. He aspired to assemble with liberated exiles representing each of the 8 largest ethnic groups composing the population of the Commonwealth. They would stand together as a vision of the 8 scribes returned, inspiring the masses to embrace an older set of values from before the Commonwealth had tightened its grip. With the rites ending sooner than expected, this ideal scenario became impossible. Sandalwood's own freedom, for instance, was now forfeit, yet the plan did have contingencies. Word reached him that, on the night of Scribe's return, several of his fellow liberated Nightwings stood together, and their voices echoed through the streets. It was vital to Sandalwood that this stand against the Commonwealth be peaceful in its nature, but this proved to be untenable, especially after the Highwing remnants appeared. There was speculation that their well-timed assault may not have happened by coincidence, though Sandalwood denied any involvement and regretted the bloodshed. Nevertheless, the main thrust of the plan had been achieved. Sandalwood kept busy after that, as much as possible, providing counsel from afar to those who would be at the forefront of the birth of the Saurian Union. Of course, being stranded in the downside meant that there was only so much he could do. Resting assured that the future of the nation was in capable hands, he turned his attention to the remaining exiles of the downside. It might never return to that new nation, but at least they could experience its triumphs and its struggles in some vicarious way. So he took to his old work, writing and printing. As literacy began to spread again throughout the Saurian Union, so too did Exiles of the Downside take to it. For his part, Sandalwood helped to teach as many as he could. More than that, he provided the material to read, a semi-annual report about the latest events both in the Saurian Union and the Downside. This periodical gave many exiles something to look forward to. One of his allies in all of this was the imp Tiso, with whom he traveled all across the Downside. Sandalwood often cited Tiso as the wellspring of his own enthusiasm for a brighter future. Such was the creature's spirit. He welcomed the company of the Reader and the Nightwings at every opportunity, and counted her a trusted friend and a keen editor. He was pleased to hear that this one-time friend, Orlek, had once more become a productive part of his society, yet spoke little of their time together. As Wolfred Sandalwood gained more fame throughout this land for all his sacrifices and his contributions, it is said that he remained steadfast about two things. The first was that the cause itself ought to remain in focus. The freedom that the people had achieved was a gift to be cherished, a set of values that needed to be nurtured. The second point he made was that he himself had little to do with the outcome. He would often praise the exiles of the Nightwings who had stood with him, each in turn, by name. He never forgot any of them. One day, to commemorate his birthday, people of the Saurian Union unveiled a monument depicting him and the Nightwings as imagined in their prime. While Sandalwood did not learn of it until much later, it is said that he was moved to tears then by the gesture. It has since ensured that those of us with memories more fallible than that of Sandalwood likewise remember the achievements of his fellow former exiles and our cause. As soon as possible after Tamitha Thane earned back her liberty, she rejoined her sisters of the Highwing Remnants in the mountains north of the Commonwealth. The Commonwealth believed that someone such as she could be rehabilitated through years spent in exile. Instead, her hatred for her ancient enemies only intensified. On the night of the Scribe's return, the Highwing Remnants were poised to strike the Commonwealth in a decisive blow. They had received credible intelligence about the expected positions of the Commonwealth leadership, and of specific weaknesses in the blood border defenses anticipated that night. After a surgical procedure, Tamitha could fly again, almost as well as prior to her exile. She insisted on spearheading the attack with a squadron of the Harp's finest. They descended on their foes exactly as planned. The chaos that had arisen in the streets of the Commonwealth that night made for an optimal diversion. Nonetheless, the battle took its toll. Many of Tamitha's sisters fell. She herself sustained many grievous wounds, but ignored them all and fought with a terrible fury. By dawn, the leaders of the Commonwealth had been eliminated, and Tamitha was limping back towards the mountains. She would never fly again. Soon after the fall of the Commonwealth, Tamitha attended a debriefing in which she learned her blood sister, Tamitha, was an accessory to the successful outcome. Tamitha was very skeptical of this, but so many of the Highwing Remnants honored Tamitha that Tamitha soon accepted the prevailing opinion, though grudgingly, at first. A messenger imp later arrived bearing some sort of message, seemingly from Tamitha. However, Tamitha turned it away. She forever resisted the impulse to forgive. After the rise of the Saurian Union, Tamitha Thane continued to serve as flight tactician and remained respected and feared, even among her kind. However, without a war to wage, she grew more distant even than usual. Those closest to her surmised that her inability to reconcile with her blood sister was at the heart of this, though for her part, Tamitha never once admitted to any such weakness. After his liberation from the Downside, Sir Deluge was reinstated on the Commonwealth blood border as a commander of an entire regiment. He was too frightened to decline the opportunity. On the night of the Scribe's return, he received an urgent order from the leaders of the Commonwealth. His regiment was told to leave its post on the blood border and quell the uprising in the nation's streets. Sir Deluge was mortified by this, yet his regiment took his inaction as a show of solidarity to the people, and, together, they refused the order. By the time the Highwing Remnant swooped in to take advantage of the chaos, they found that stretch of the blood border undefended, providing the perfect entry point for their assault. At any rate, the full extent of Deluge's cowardice could never have been known had he not owned up to it in his best-selling memoir, Confessions of a Worm Knight. What? A memoir about life in the Sea Dominion, the Commonwealth, and the Downside. This knight has fled from all manner of things, large and small, theoretical and real, Deluge from his book. Awesome. After the fall of the Commonwealth, he was discharged from military service. It was then he learned to read and write, discovered his latent penchant as an author. Of note, his writings of Sir Gilman were always very charitable, and he publicly expressed remorse for how he treated his fellow Worm Knight. Speaking of, the Worm Knight Sir Gilman had elected to go into exile as penance for his failure to uphold his military obligations to the Commonwealth. To him, earning back his freedom was tantamount to erasing the shame of his past. His honor was at stake, more so than anything. Yet, when it became clear to him that he would not go free again through the rites, he readily accepted the outcome, for he knew by then that much more was on the line. He regretted not having had a chance to contribute directly to the events that transpired in the Commonwealth, though he was pleased to hear the outcome. The conclusion of the rites and the fall of the Commonwealth made clear to him that his days as a knight had ended. He declared to all those in earshot he would never fight again. Unless, of course, there arose some other extraordinary set of circumstance, again requiring him to fight, but he certainly hoped not. He still trained regularly, but never found as skilled and motivating of a partner as his fleet-footed friend, Rookie Greentail, whom he remembered fondly. From time to time, he would seek guidance from one of his former comrades, Big Bertrude, much his elder, and a wellspring of perspective on his life decisions. He was always grateful for the counsel of the reader, and would regale her over and over about the time they squashed the spawn of unfathomed Plurnes. By that point, he had long forgotten about his days under the leadership of Sir Deluge, his former commander. Breaking free of his abusive leadership was his first step toward gaining a bit of self-respect. Gilman never did return to his homeland of the Sea Dominion, and was content to lead a monastic life on a small residence in the hills. It was just high up enough to make him keep striving to conquer his fear of heights. Other than that, an intense daily training regimen and the occasional visit from an old companion was more than enough to keep him optimistic and engaged. He knew by then that honor was not something to be won, but a contract with oneself, to be renewed each day. Well said, buddy, well said. Barker Ashpaws never had much interest in returning to the Commonwealth, for he always found its bylaws to be stifling, so when the rites ended, he did not care at first. He soon grew very bored. The rites had given his life a certain sense of structure he had always needed. He missed the raw anticipation of it all. He decided to continue conducting the rites for the thrill of it. He bent some of the rules, and replaced some of the objects, but it was close enough. His packmates, the dissidents, proved more than happy to participate, and thus they ran against each other back in Jamur Valley. Gradually, other exiles familiar with the rites, as well as those who had not heard of it at all, started to take interest. They ended up giving Barker Ashpaws some healthy competition. His old feud with Rookie Greentail ceased meaning anything to him, and he forgot all about it amid his new pursuits. Ultimately, even Barker Ashpaws, who had led such a directionless existence to that point, found something of a calling through the rites. Whether he took the rites less seriously than any other exile of his time, or more, was oft debated by those who watched him work. After Rookie Greentail earned back his freedom, he returned to a lavish welcome ceremony in the Commonwealth, as was the tendency for liberated exiles. It was everything he could have hoped for, and soon he was well off, surrounded by luxury, and choosing between various exciting opportunities. However, he must have given in to his better judgment, as he did end up siding with Wolfred Sandalwood's revolutionary forces as he promised. On the night of Scribe's return, Greentail kept busy barking orders to Wolfred's agents as the situation grew tenser. He took rather well to leadership. When dawn finally came and it became clear that the Commonwealth that everybody knew would be no more, he realized many new opportunities awaited. He began quite a lucrative career for himself, manufacturing and selling replica merchandise inspired by the Downside. His main struggle was to meet demand. An aspect of his conscience cautioned him against making light of such a thing. But the money was too good, and soon his family was as well off as he always said. Greentail always did his best to keep in touch with all his many friends, and knew that he owed his fortunes to them. He made a special point of staying close with the group of friends he came to know so well during his time with the Nightwings, wherever they were. They shared a special understanding that put even Greentail at a loss for words sometimes. In the aftermath of the final liberation rite, Orlek at last returned to his nation, one he had not seen in nearly 2 decades. He scarce recognized it. After all, it was in the midst of transformation, a social and cultural upheaval sparked by Volfred Sandalwood's plan. When Orlek witnessed the people of the Commonwealth gathered in solidarity under the black sky there on the night of Scribe's return, he looked on in silence for a time. Then, the Highwing remnants descended, and a panic quickly spread among those gathered. A pitched battle erupted in the streets. It was chaos. Orlek observed all this, then took a step toward the fray. He knelt beside the closest injured man to him. He staunched the man's bleeding and set an injured leg, then pulled him to a safer corner of the street. Orlek's old abilities as a physician had not left him during all his years. Thus did he aid as many as he could throughout that night, until the danger passed. History would know him as the Demon Doctor, a term of endearment that stuck even after his horns started to recede. He lent his skill and service throughout the birth of the Saurian Union. The one he had called the Shadow of the False Nightwings was someone whom he thought of often. He knew he owed his freedom to her. Having witnessed the aftermath of Sandalwood's plan, Orlek understood at last what his former companion wanted. Years ago, he conceived a version of this plan. Now, Orlek found he wished Sandalwood could be present to witness the reality of it. Alone with his thoughts, Orlek would sometimes visit the memorial to the fallen leaders of the Commonwealth. Though, other than such appearances, and notwithstanding his duties as a master physician of the state, Orlek led a very private life. Few would have guessed that he once was one of the most accomplished rites conductors in the history of the Nightwings. History, of course, shall ensure we shall not forget. A tongue twister at the end. And finally, I think the person with the most heart. The Commonwealth had never provided a sense of home for the one they had called Ray the Wretched, so she was surprised on her return that she was so well treated. She felt uneasy about it, and besides, she knew that she would do her best to fulfill the pledge she had made to her friends. Even she could not have expected the impact she would have on the events that followed, which gave rise to our Saurian Union. Ray stood with the others on the night of Scribe's return. She did not take up arms, but spoke of the scribes with conviction and sincerity. Others were so caught off guard that it helped quell the danger of the situation. After the fall of the Commonwealth, there was a renewed interest in the legend of the 8 scribes, and many new interpretations of their histories and teachings. Ray found herself at the center of all this. Her way of speaking continued to compel a growing audience. She swayed many people from their astralist beliefs. Soon, the 8th word, which had lost favor with the people during the reign of the Commonwealth, sought her out, and asked her formally to join, and she did right away. A theocratic sect believing that the 8 scribes were more than mortal, and their words divine. Sure, the book created by the scribes was more than a fable, but a genuine artifact, but perhaps lost to time. Through it all, she would wonder how her little friend Tiso had fared. While they were divided now by a great distance, he always remained in her heart. She cited her relationship with Jodariel as the single most important in her life. Jodariel would always provide for her a circumspect perspective and the wisdom of experience. Ray always was devoted to her faith, more so to her friends. Many people in the Saurian Union cited that her gentle manner and unwavering conviction helped them brave the changing times with courage and with grace. There is one more account which warrants mention. The Nightwings conducted the rites under the guidance of a reader. Little is known of her. However, some accounts of her begin to paint a picture. We know she was of a common birth, always directionless and prone to misremembering at times. The journey to the downside left her close to death. It was then that the Nightwings found her. They brought her from the brink. She showed them the path. She pressed onward with the others, longing always to regain her freedom. Thus did the cycle of the rites commence its final turns. When the final rite arrived, the reader's freedom was at stake. In the end, however, she remained in exile. From that point on, accounts of her diverge. It is said the voice, which troubled her, she never heard again. Some say she sailed across the Sea of Solace. Though, whether that is true, only she knows. Someday, perhaps, that reader's own star shall emerge. Then it shall pierce the dark of night in all its brilliant glory. Until such time, and ever after, all of us give thanks.
Their journey began on a barren waste where the reader arrived, afraid and alone. When she arrived, the book of rites awakened the Nightwings and ignited the flame. They follow the stars, bound together, strands in our brain till the end. We sing of the last of the Nightwings who, having broken the cycle, shall live on in song. Headwind prevailed and strode the path that his heart laid before him. He has found his way home. Captain Joe Dariel, mother to many a foundling, she has found her way home. Rookie Greentail has proved his worth and returned to his family by the grace of the scribes. They follow the stars, bound together, strands in a braid till the end. The moon-touched girl hears the scribes in the world all around her. They have guided her home.
Tis all the wise, ever faithful to the cause of the Nightwings. He remained to the end. Sir Gilman the Bold, duty bound to honor the Nightwings. He remains to the end. Amethyst Thane, born on guilty wings, ever seeking forgiveness. She remains to the end. They follow the stars, bound together, at Sandalwood saw his plans turn to action. He remained till the end. The bog dweller Bertrude kept their foes at bay with her finest enchantments. She remained till the end. The reader at last made the night wings whole, having bound them together. She remained till the end. They follow the stars, bound together, strands in a braid till the end. They follow the stars, bound together, strands in a braid till the end. Now at the end, as we bid farewell and return to the stars, we shall find our way home. We shall find our way home. We shall find our way home.
The end. Wow, that beautiful game. I love this game. So good. Visual novel essentially with some sport. But the music, beautiful. That last song, clearly the lyrics change whether we get the characters home or not. Back to the Commonwealth. So, and the art is fantastic. I love the vivid imagery, the colors, music, everything in this game comes together so well. Well done. I applaud everyone involved in this game, and thank you. I applaud you for watching. So thank you, and I'll see you in another series. Hope you liked this one. I really did. I'm glad we got to see this and watch. Even the credits. Credits were fantastic. So, anyway, thanks for watching, and as always, I will see you in another series. Take care. Bye.